Great. Thank you very much, Rick. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is the Township Council Conference Meeting for November 1st, 2021. This is a conference meeting of the Council of the Township of Montclair and is being broadcast live on Channel 34 and is streaming live on Montclair TV 34 YouTube channel. It is available on demand and can and will be rebroadcast. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting was included in the revised annual notice. The meeting schedule is set forth in Resolution R21165 adopted by the Town Council on its conference meeting of August 11, 2021. Advertised in the official newspaper on August 19, 2021. Posted on the bulletin boards outside the municipal building to remain continuously posted. In addition, a copy of the revised annual notice has been and is available and is on file in the office of the Township Clerk. With that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Cummings,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Herlock,
Present.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Present.
Councilor Russo,
Present.
Councilor Schlager,
Here.
Councilor Yacovelis,
Present.
Mayor Spiller.
Present, thank you. Without objection, we'll adopt the agenda with flexibility. First, I'd like to move to the approval of the minutes. There have been presented to us the minutes of February 2nd, 2021 and February 16th, 2021, and I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments, or corrections? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you very much. I think we'll move through to new business resolution. First is resolution R21204, which is a resolution awarding the contract to Beyer Ford for animal control vehicle in accordance with New Jersey's Cooperative Purchasing Alliance of the Morris County Contract, 15C, item number 3. And I so move.
Second.
Any questions, concerns, comments? Madam Clerk?
Councilor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock,
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councilor Russo,
Yes.
Councilor Schlager,
Yes.
Councilor Yacovelis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes, thank you. Next is resolution R21205. Councilwoman Schlager, would you do the honors?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Whereas invoices against the Township of Montclair in favor of the following persons for the amounts set opposite their respective names have been received, duly audited, and found correct. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair and the County of Essex that said invoices be, and they are hereby ordered paid, and that checks be drawn by the Finance Department to the order of such persons for the amounts respectively and hereinafter stated on the schedule attached hereto and made a part hereof. This bill list is dated November 1st, 2021 for $10,493,767.08. And I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments? Councilman Yacovelis?
Thanks, Mayor. Mr. Stafford, I wrote my questions down based on the digital copy that your office sent out earlier. I didn't check to see if the page numbers were the same, so forgive me if they're not. I just have a couple quick questions. Page 20, PO 2100281, legal services for the, and then it just cuts off for 3818. Just want to know what that is.
That would be legal services for the planning board. Beatty Padavano is the planning board's attorney.
Thank you. And then similarly on page 23, PO 2102247, consulting services to resolve, and then it cuts off as well, and that's $370.
That was to resolve an IT issue that the utilities department was having and suffering with respect to mobile firewall.
Okay. PO 2102201 on page 26, 4 trees for Lorraine Well. Was this related to the since there had to be a special project to install the water treatment facility there, was this just related to the work that had to be done to mask? that
It
water?
is, it's, the trees are there to cover the carbon vessel.
Okay, thank you. And then last question is page 27, PO 2102237, Park Mobile, 12,493. Just what specifically is that for?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
It's page 27, PO 2102237, Park Mobile, $12,493. Just what is that for? Is that routine?
I see those. Those are the fees for the monthly transactions for our meters.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Counselor Russo,
Yes.
Counselor Schlager,
Yes.
Counselor Yacovelis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Stafford, we have a number of discussion items. If you review those, please.
Certainly, Mayor. Regarding item number 1, on October 19 of 2021, the township received and opened 7 bids relative to a planned Mount Hebron Road improvements project that is an approved 2020 NJDOT municipal aid project. The project would include the replacement of curbing and miscellaneous driveway apron reconstruction, as well as milling and paving along Mount Hebron Road from Valley Road to Highland Avenue. The 7 bids were analyzed, and based upon this analysis, recommendation is made to, and item 1 would be a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to the lowest responsive bidder for Cleanup Incorporated of North Bergen, New Jersey, in the amount of $230,181. Item number 2, an application was filed for a certificate of appropriateness for a new sign to be placed at a business. The Township Planning Department staff determined that such a certificate cannot be issued because the proposed sign is not permitted without a variance. The applicant subsequently withdrew the application. Recommendation is made to, and resolution in item number 2 would authorize the refunding of $90 of the $100 application and processing fee. Item number 3 is a resolution that would, pursuant to NJSA 40:69A-179 and Chapter 3, Article 2, Section 3-9 of the Township Code, adopt the schedule of the governing body's regular and conference meetings for the 2021 calendar year. Next, NJSA 40:55D-53 et sec. Provides appropriate conditions for the release of a performance bond and cash guarantees relating to improvements associated with a subdivision. The Planning Board engineer, Township engineer, and Director of Utilities have approved all completed on-site improvement work at the subdivision at 44 Pleasant Avenue. Accordingly, per the statute, given the findings that the on-site improvements covered by the obligor's performance bond and cash guarantees were completed satisfactorily, release of the bond and guarantees is appropriate. The statute requires a resolution by this governing body authorizing same, and the resolution in item number 4 would so authorize the performance bonds and the cash guarantees returned to the appropriate parties. Item number 5 would be a resolution authorizing the person-to-person transfer of a plenary retail consumption liquor license. Per the Township Clerk, the submitted application form is complete in all respects. The transfer fees have been paid and the license has been properly renewed for the current license term. The Township Clerk reports that the applicant is qualified to be licensed per all standards established by Title 33 of the New Jersey statutes and regulations promulgated thereunder, as well as per all ordinances and conditions consistent with Title 33. The Township Clerk also reports that the applicant has disclosed and that the relevant personnel have reviewed the source of all funds to be used in the license purchase and the licensed business and all additional financing obtained in connection with the licensed business. Finally, the Township Clerk reports that an appropriate investigation was conducted and satisfactorily approved by the Montclair Police Department. Regarding item number 6, bids were received on August 25, 2021 for supplemental snow plowing services to reduce the time required to clear roads of snow and ice during storms. 3 bidders responded. It is in the township's interest to have multiple approved vendors that can be deployed depending on the size and scope of the storms, the urgency of completion of work, the time frame required for work, and vendor availability. Based upon the analysis of the bids, recommendation is made to, and this resolution would award a contract up to 2 of the responsive bidders at the bid unit rates at an aggregate amount not to exceed $800,000 for the 2021-2022 snow season, with a township option to renew each contract for 2 one-year periods as listed.
Excuse me, Mayor, is it appropriate to ask a question at this point, or?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, Councilwoman Price Abrams.
Thanks. So, Mr. Stafford, in the case of this, so let's say we retain either or both, whatever, you said it's in addition to, I think, an existing vendor, right? In any case, what I'm wondering is,
That's not correct. This is the annual contract that we let to supplement our internal snow removal services.
thank you. So what I'm wanting to clarify is, are they exclusively for our use if we've hired them? Because in other words, if we're hiring them, but maybe we don't need the second person, the second company, I'm just not sure. Are they taking other work? And then do we know that we have them for the use of the town when everyone has a storm? I'm just wondering how that works in terms of.
If you're asking if we have exclusivity, the answer is no.
So, okay. I know that must be a scramble every time then, right? I don't know.
No, it's not a scramble every time, but the fact of the matter is, given the size and scope of storms that we've encountered over the last, before I got here, so at least in the last 7 years, we endeavor to have 2 so that if a vendor's trucks break down, or if they're unable to come, or if the storm is so great that we need more than one, we have available what we need. We don't use any more than we need, so we may put one vendor but not the other on notice for a storm. If a storm is forecasted to be of such significance, we'll put both vendors on notice.
Okay, I'm wondering how in real time, if you may not need the second, I mean, how they navigate and how we get them for our work in town when they may be obligated in more than one place. I just don't know how that's navigated.
If you're asking me how they deal with us maybe not calling them for every storm, I don't know. But to be blunt, that's not the township's problem.
No, but I mean that we don't find ourselves on the short end of that. That's all I'm trying to figure out. I know you're being very, you're looking at it appropriately. I'm just trying to understand how that it generally works, I guess is what you're saying. Whatever the arrangements are, we tend to find that they.
Councilwoman, maybe I could chime in on this only because the little bit of long history with it. We started going to this practice a few years back to supplement our work. And at least to date, it's worked very well. To Mr. Stafford's point, they have come in, they have accepted our piece. I mean, that's definitely how they then get paid. But that to date, at least they do respond to us. They do come in. Maybe we were one of the earlier ones to do this. I can't speak to that piece. To Mr. Stafford's point, I'm not sure what their model is, but at least to date, they're the ones doing a lot of the supplemental cleanup work, other areas of town, specific places that are assigned, and it's worked so far. Probably, I would imagine that the year it doesn't work is the year Mr. Stafford's coming in saying we're going to exclude, X, Y because they didn't work well with us last year, so at least so far it's worked.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Next would be item number 7. State law requires the Division of Local Government Services to promulgate a best practices inventory through which it obtains information about the status of municipal government practices. The inventory assesses each municipality's compliance with various laws and evaluates the implementation of fiscal and operational best practices. The DLGS will determine whether some portion of a municipality's state aid will be withheld based upon the results of its inventory. The actual inventory, of course, is a worksheet to be completed by each municipality and submitted to the division, and the township's worksheet was provided to you in your packet for review. This year, there were 48 questions, some with subparts. Our chief financial officer and I must certify the inventory, and the township clerk must certify on the worksheet that the township's inventory and results thereof were discussed at a public meeting, hence the item on your agenda. The item in number 7 would be a resolution approving the submission of the checklist inventory, and as you would see, Our 2021 score is 93%, which entitled the township to 100% of the state aid to which it would otherwise be, quote, entitled, end quote. And then item number 8, recently proposals were sought for engineering, survey, and due diligence services in connection with block 2311, lots 14 and 15, otherwise known as 57 Park Street and 205 Claremont Avenue. 2 proposals were received and analyzed. Based upon that analysis, recommendation is made to, and the resolution in item number 8 would authorize the award of a contract in the amount of $24,450 to Boswell Engineering of South Hackensack, New Jersey. Item number 9 would be a resolution authorizing the funding agreement between the Township and Montclair Free Public Library that was discussed by this governing body at its October 19th, 2021 regular meeting. Item number 10, the Township's Health and Human Services Department recently. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I just want to ask one question on this one. It says at the end of the agreement that it's going to extend till from November 1st, that's today, 2021, to October 31st, 2027. That's a correct date? That's a 6-year term? Is that the term of the agreement till 2027? That's not an error, is it?
To your point's a good one. Hold on 1 second.
6-year term of this agreement, it seems.
I believe it was added by our financial officer in that either party is allowed to terminate the agreement.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep, the mayor's correct.
But I'm correct, it is until 2027.
Yes,
right?
sir, you're correct. Yep,
Thank you, thank you.
you bet.
If I may also, on that note, ask a question as well. On the second page of that agreement, toward the bottom, item 2, it says provide that the library must provide the township's CFO a draft budget for the upcoming calendar year by October 30th, 2021. So that date has also just passed. So I'm just, there's a term in there that is already in the past.
When the library board representatives did meet with us, Councilwoman, we all noted that time frame, would be aggressive for this one right here, and they discussed with our CFO who was in that meeting what she would need for this year's. So they discussed it was not the full piece and by that date, but she discussed what she would need, and they believe that they can provide it.
Did provide it.
I don't know if that meeting happened when we met to discuss this issue, so I don't know if they have yet, but they agreed that they would provide it, and she specified what she would need.
Okay, I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have a date that's actually something by when they can have it done. That's not 2 days ago. Should we change the date on that? I don't know if that's necessary or not.
Well, as a note, I mean, it would be for each year, so I don't think we'd want to change it because the goal is then for the future to have it done at that date. It was just noting this year's specific, tight time frame. That should not be the concern moving forward. That's the goal. But for this year's specific one, as I noted, that the CFO did discuss directly with the library board what would suffice for this year's, given the tight time frame. They both discussed it, and it seemed that what she was asking for, they could meet and provide. Again, that meeting happened, when we all spoke about this as well. So I don't have a better update than that, but I do know that happened at that meeting.
Okay.
Mayor, I could say this is the form of the agreement. When it comes up at the council meeting in 2 weeks, we'll have clarified the dates and corrected any change or made any changes that needed to be made.
Okay, thanks.
Mayor and manager and town attorney, I don't recall this type of agreement in the past. Am I overlooking something? But we've always had like a 5 or 6 year agreement or multi-year agreement.
No, this would be brand new.
This is new. That's what I thought. So now we're trying to get a firm handle on, because the budget questions about the library had come up so many times this past year with a lot of misunderstandings by people. I want them to understand what we're doing. So this is going to be a firm agreement that they have obligations and we have certain obligations. And when we work together, we'll get the money that we need if we can get it. And this will be something we use as our measure, really as a measure of whether we're doing what we need to do. All right. Thank you. I thought so.
I'm sorry. So item number 10, the
Thank you.
township health.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mrs. Stufford. I just want to
Yes.
ask a question as well. For Ira, I guess as part of the due diligence over the next 2 weeks too. Something that I would like to understand is, do we do this for any other entity that receives money from us? That's important benchmarking for me, because I'm just a little concerned that we're creating a different standard. I want to make sure we're not creating a different standard for the library than any other entity that receives public funds. I know they're not the same as a municipal.
We provide money to lots of entities for different reasons, CDBG grants, et cetera. And all those things, there's quite a bit of paperwork that's required and information that's needed in order to back up that. And this is, the library in the past has really just taken their statutory money and then asked for an amount. And this would be really bringing the library up into the world of other organizations that are public funded rather than the other way around.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think it was for tonight so much as just for, the next 2 weeks. I just would like to understand how this compares to our financial arrangement with other institutions that receive money from us, so we can have that conversation. Thank you.
So to number 10, the Township Health and Human Services Department recently received a letter of intent from the Essex County Municipal Alliance Program to provide a grant to the township in the amount of $19,704 for fiscal year 2023. That is July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023. These dollars are used to fund 10 community and school-based prevention programs. There is a 25% cash match requiring the township to contribute $4,926 that is satisfied via township employees' salaries for time spent on grant activities, and a 75% in-kind required match of $14,778 that program participants report. This resolution would authorize the submission of the strategic plan for the Montclair Community Intervention Alliance grant for that fiscal year 2023.
One question, Mayor, if I may. Remember I brought up about how this is it's sort of a advisory board. We've got some people that are on it, some people not active. We wasn't active for many years, but we do have to have some sort of a board, don't we? It's something that is required, I think, for the grant. Am I right about that? Or the health department can take the money alone without?
I believe you're correct. I believe we need the MCIA advisory committee in order to get the grant.
Let's just look into that when we go over the boards at some point. Okay, thank you all.
Next will be item number 11. Bids were received on October 6 of 2021 for snow and ice removal services for the Montclair parking utility. 2 bidders responded. Based upon the analysis of the bids, recommendation is made to, and this resolution would award to Sonova Incorporated a 2-year contract to Sonova as the lower responsive bidder at the bid unit rates at an aggregate amount not to exceed $550,000 for each of the 2021, 2022, and 2022-2023 snow seasons, with a township option to renew the contract for 2 one-year periods as listed. Mayor, that's all I have, although you do have an executive session scheduled tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. Appreciate that. Thank you for the preview there. Those items will be added in the consent agenda unless there's objection. For public comment, in an effort to minimize exposure to COVID-19 and to maintain social distancing practices, this meeting of the council and further meetings until the pandemic is over will only be available to the public remotely. Those who wish to participate now during public comment should dial 408-418-9388. When asked to enter an access code, please enter 2337-924-0666. Then press pound. When asked to enter an attendee number, please simply press pound. When asked to state your name, please do so and press pound. The administrator will then say when it's the caller's turn to speak, and the caller will then hear 2 beeps. At that time, the caller will have an opportunity to make his or her comments. Mr. Stafford, Mr. Fan, I turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. First would be caller with the number starting 917-545. 917-545. Please, for the record, state your name, mute your listening device, and do your best to keep your comments under 3 minutes.
Hi, yeah, this is John Van Wagner calling. I'm calling in support of an elected Board of Ed I wanted to start off my comments by addressing Councilor Russo regarding his participation in the CGI forum on Thursday. Just a couple of questions for Councilor Russo. When he was discussed the consequences of having an elected board as being continual campaigning, continual spending of money, and that a campaign to become a board member would cost between $10,000 and $15,000 a piece. I mean, per race. I'd like to know where he got that number from. It seemed like it was pulled out of the air. This idea that people can be discouraged by the cost. I mean, I think this is more of a question of the type of people that Councilor Russo would like to see on the Board of Ed, the type, as he stated in the forum, who have the ability to shape policy for our public schools by appointing the right people who are as committed as I was to public education. So I'm asking him, are these right people those who have pledged to fight for the interests of children and parents? Or are those who will advocate for the NJEA and its president, our mayor, Sean Spiller? I'd like to know whether Councilor Russo, we know he's a passionate advocate for the teachers unions. I'd like to know whether or not he is a passionate advocate for parents and their input, and whether he believes that they should have input into the school curriculum. Secondly, I wanted to discuss one of the factors involved in an elected Board of Ed in Montclair, this idea that if we have an elected Board of Ed, it will undermine racial equity on the board and dismantle our magnet system. I find this an ironic viewpoint on multiple levels, given Montclair's extreme progressive self-identification and commitment to diversity and inclusion. As the president of the Montclair Republican Club, I think it's doubly insulting to the character of every good citizen of the town. If a hyper-progressive town whose tight embrace of identity politics in every form can't trust itself to establish a free and integrated school system through the ballot box, what can it be trusted to do? So I'm speaking for the conservative minority. If we're fortunate enough to have an elected school board after November 2nd, we will fight in any way we can, together and individually, to rally voters against racism and to the cause of educational equality and freedom. And I hope our progressive fellow citizens can commit to do the same. Thank you.
Mayor, manager, if Mr. Van Wagner is still on, wants me to answer a couple of questions, I'll be happy to. I heard a question about why I don't care about children or parents as much as unions. I've been a teachers union member all my life, but it's the AFT, American Federation of Teachers, which covers all of our colleges, our state colleges. I'm a college adjunct professor, faculty leader. So I also taught 4th grade in Newark and went to jail for the teacher strike in 1970. I'm proud of that. Teachers have been disrespected for 8 years by the previous governor. And a lot of people have always dumped on teachers as the cause of all of our problems, or teachers' unions as the cause of our problems. I believe strongly in collective bargaining and people having unions like the UAW that helped the auto workers when there were dangers on the assembly line. Just watch that film. There's a film called Brothers on the Line. You'll learn a lot about that, Mr. Van Wagner. The Republican Party you keep bringing up. This is a nonpartisan government, you keep telling me. It's a nonpartisan election. How do you know what I meant when I said I would support the appointed board? I was a mayor who appointed great Board of Ed members, and I believe that system was good, but I'm not closing the door to an elected board. The thing that I'm concerned about is people using it as a forum or using a campaign as a forum to put falsehoods and exaggerations and big lies out, as our former president did and still does. So when you ask a question, one time somebody said to me, "Are you for the teachers or the kids?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, the teachers union or the kids." I said, "We're all in the same boat. We're all trying to get more funding for education. We're not Betsy DeVos people." I trust the people in Montclair will make a decision tomorrow, and then we'll work together, whatever happens, to get good schools, to keep good schools, to have a good group of professionals working for our schools who are compensated adequately and treated with respect. That's all I seek. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I don't think there was much I would say that, except quite simply, we have the best schools in the nation. And that is because of the advocacy work that everyone in the educational system, parents, communities, educators, those who represent them, do to fight on behalf of our public schools. I'm proud to say for 3 years in a row, #1 in the nation. Thank you, Mr. Stafford.
Yes, sir. Next would be caller with the number starting 973-722. It is your turn to comment. 973-722. Please mute your listening device. Keep your comments to 3 minutes and state your name for the record.
That's okay. All right. Hi, this is Gerard. I'm calling from Edgemonte. What I feel about racism. I think racism is really the act of judging not based on the person or the character, not on your occupation, your qualities, your abilities, viewing someone on who he is. It's not based on, racism is not based on the insignificant color of someone's skin. So when we view whites in a political way, it's racist. When we view blacks in a certain way, that's racist. I think we all need to be, it's not right to treat people as a group rather than individuals, and anything other than that is racism. So in my eyes, in my belief, critical race theory education is therefore it's racist. Racism is the act, I should say, of judging not based on the person's character and their qualities and their abilities, but you have to judge people on who they are. And when we put everybody in the same bucket, we're treating people, that in fact is being racist, and I think that's being very hypocritical in this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be caller with the number starting 650-889. 650-889. It is your turn to comment. Please, for the record, state your name, your listening device, and keep your comments.
Hello, this is Rich. Hello, this is Rich. And my comment is mostly, I hope everyone who hasn't yet voted will vote tomorrow for an elective BOE and end the conflicts of interest in our educational system. And I would like to agree with the previous caller as well, that the students should be regarded first and foremost as individuals, and they shouldn't be educated or treated based on skin color, ancestry, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thank you. Next would be caller with the number starting 314-645. 314-645. It is your turn to comment. Please, for the record, state your name, mute your listening device, and keep your comments to 3 minutes. 314-645. Moving on. Next will be caller with the number starting 917-922. 917-922. Please, for the record, state your name, keep your comments to 3 minutes, and mute your listening device. 917-922.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so sorry. Hi, I'm Carol, and I wanted to also echo what everyone else was saying about the elected Board of Ed. I totally support that. Actually, what I really wanted to address was a statement made by Mayor Spiller back in August of this year. This statement was made after our failed evacuation from Afghanistan. He stated that our township is ready to embrace Afghan refugees and said he'd support a council resolution that affirms community support for Afghan resettlement. And he continued to say, Montclair is a caring, welcome community. Our diversity is our strength. Opening our arms to these brave Afghan refugees is a simple choice. Our values demand nothing less. This is a moment to demonstrate what we stand for by lending a hand to those who stood for us. Of course, since that time, we've learned that the Biden administration is importing tens of thousands of unvetted Afghan refugees into the United States before we've even evacuated the Americans who are stuck there. The amount of Americans still left stranded and endangered by the Taliban has been estimated at 1,500. Mayor Spiller also voted to declare Montclair a welcoming community to illegal immigrants back in 2017. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, there's a huge caravan of migrants heading for the southern border again, and this current administration does not appear to want to enforce our immigration laws. Busloads of immigrants are being transported all over the country and being set up with lodging and funds. If we continue to welcome unvetted, undocumented immigrants, we are endangering our country. We can only look to France, where there are no go zones in certain communities. This is happening all over Europe, but the media is silent on this fact. If our mayor begins to welcome these foreigners into our town, we are also taking a risk as well. Remember, they are not vetted at all. We don't know where they're coming from, if the children they are bringing with them are actually their own, or if they're being trafficked, and they aren't even checked to see if there's any health issues as well. We can't ride a plane, eat in a restaurant in New York City without showing our papers, and yet we are welcoming these strangers into our community with no vetting at all. Everybody sympathizes with migrants that want a better life in this country, of course, but our government's primary responsibility should always be the welfare of American citizens in a country that is rapidly getting poorer because foreign workers lower the wages of American citizens. When you flood the labor pool, the wages go down. That's just supply and demand. And this will be true in Montclair. So many small businesses have gone under, and yet we are being expected to pay to relocate and house people from other countries. Perhaps the compassionate people of Montclair can consider privately financing, supporting families from other countries.
That sound that you just heard was your
help.
time expiring, so please do us the service of concluding your comments promptly.
Of course. But just as I wouldn't expect the government to force me to give one of my bedrooms to a homeless person, our community shouldn't be expected to open our doors to unvetted foreigners. Therefore, I call upon our town council to be wary of this open door policy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next to be caller with the number starting 862276.
I will get to that one, Mr. Stafford.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Oh, no, not at all. Listen, I guess the caller's comments can speak for themselves, but I think mine do as well. And I think that the vast majority of us here on the council, certainly residents in Montclair, when these difficult situations arise and people are trying to save their families, save their lives after supporting our troops in a foreign country in a foreign war for decades, and we have an obligation in some way to do all we can. Those individuals, by the way, are vetted, right? Both the state and the federal government does a number of things and that's why the process is so slow. But putting that aside, look, absolutely, I believe we are a welcoming community. I believe the vast majority of residents here are welcoming people, and I certainly stand behind that, and we'll certainly commit to continuing to welcome and do our part to help those who have helped us in the past, and we stand ready to help in the future as a commitment to our values here in this community, and quite frankly, more broadly, I think, as a nation. So that's all I have to say on that, Mr. Stafford.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next would be caller with the number starting 862276. 862. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me? Thank you. My name is Jessica. I'm calling to support an elected school board and also to encourage people who haven't yet voted to strongly consider voting for the elected school board rather than the appointed school board. I am actually a teacher myself and completely appalled that, almost 98% of the state of New Jersey has elected boards, and here in Montclair, we have an appointed board, and I don't see how possibly that could be serving the community when the people in the community really have no input into who is in the board, because it's appointed by some people that are not the people that it concerns. And so the teachers, the parents, the students, they're all really suffering from not having an elected school board. The parents want to have an input and they have no input. So thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be caller with the number starting 646220. 646220. It is your turn to comment. Please, for the record, state your name, keep your comments to 3 minutes, and mute your listening device. 646220.
Hello, just give me a moment. Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, my name is Lorraine, and I'm calling in also to in support of an elected school board. Recently, I've been going to the Board of Ed meetings, and at the last meeting, I tried to speak at the meeting, and I was sent outside by a security guard who was directed to do so by Miss Jana, the board president. And I was told I could not return to listen and attend the meeting. Mind you, I did nothing that should warrant this action towards me. This is a gross violation of America's democratic process and a glaring example of why we need a board elected by the people, for the people, parents and members of the community. Not appointed members that only want to go along with the teachers union, which, by the way, continues to mask our children with no scientific evidence to support it. The current appointed board by the NGA president and mayor of Montclair is just another example of bad government. So I just support a elected Board of Ed, elected by the people, and I hope that all the people in the community will vote for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be a caller with the number starting 973-634. 973-634, please.
I'm next. Everyone be quiet. I want to do it here. I want to watch Spiller.
Please.
Everyone quiet.
Sir, do us the service of muting your listening device. State your name for the record and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Steve, resident of Montclair. And I have called before and I didn't get an answer to a question, so I would like to bring that up again. Before I bring it up, I'd like to speak about the elected school board, which would be better. I understand we elect the mayor appoints the board. However, it's more direct. You're getting all of the people individually elected by the citizens. As Mr. Yacobelis spoke very eloquently, more power to the people. And that's good. Now, I did have a question I'd like to have answered. It's directed to Mayor Spiller. Mr. Spiller, I appreciate your comments about the Afghanistan thing. You kind of put lipstick on a pig there, but this is more direct. I had asked you a question about whether you think it's okay to receive an over $1 million salary from the state teachers union and to have buildings that are in disrepair in Montclair. Mr. Yacobelis has spoken about the disrepair in the buildings, as have others. However, your answer was, every time I call, your salary seems to increase. And I took that as a face value thing until someone said, no, he was being dismissive and it wasn't polite. So obviously when I call, your salary does not increase. My question is, do you think it's okay? I understand that there is something called the Political Leadership Academy that was begun in about 2010, and it was set up by the state teachers union in order to bring teachers such as yourself, I don't know if you went through that, but you may have, such as yourself, into the political arena where you can gain and keep political office. My guess is a response to Chris Christie trying to get things under control. But getting back to my original question, do you think it's okay for you to receive a salary of over $1 million? And please answer the question. That's all. It's not, no, this is not, you know, hard feelings, anything like that. We just want to make things better. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Next would be caller with the number starting 973-747. It is your turn to comment. 973-747. Please, for the record, state your name, keep your comments to 3 minutes, and mute your listening device.
Hello?
Yes,
Can you
sir.
hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yes, my name is Remy. I'm calling to, again, along with so many others, to support an elected Board of Education. It's the logical and most intelligent way to do it. To have parents have access to the school and to protect their children. So I support that, and I hope the electors will do that tomorrow. One comment very quickly to Councilman Russo. It still rankles me that January letter that you wrote criticizing our former president. Let me just say, in light of the current state of affairs in this country allegedly led by this mentally challenged individual. This country is in really disarray with our borders, people coming across who haven't been vetted, who may have the MS-13 or other people, criminals, and they have not been COVID vaccinated, etc. It's a terrible, terrible situation. Plus our exodus from Afghanistan, one of the most deplorable things that ever happened to this country. This is a very bad president. And you wanted to say terrible things about the Republican Party. Mr. Russo, take a good look at the party of Hubert Humphrey and Franklin Roosevelt and people like John F. Kennedy, and wonder why we have these people, members of the squad, and Bernie Sanders leading us now. And I think it's disgraceful. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, just want to say hello to my friend Rennie, who's talked to me a number of times. We've had very good discussions about the great Hubert Humphrey, who I know your uncle, Senator Scott from Pennsylvania, you told me was a good friend of Humphrey. They worked together, which I want to see now. I want to see people working together. I do want to see Republicans and Democrats working together, which they're not. And my letter from about 10 months ago was old history, but it still means something because I said that the Republican Party was led by Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt and Eisenhower and even Reagan, Rockefeller, others who I think most Democrats would admire. I did admire, my father admired, but there's a lot of great Democrats like President Kennedy, as you said, and Franklin Roosevelt. And I think President Obama was a great president, but we have a disagreement now. I think President Biden's a very good president. I think he's trying very hard to unite people, work together, and getting out of Afghanistan, it's something even Trump wanted us to do. So, let's try to be reasonable when we talk. I'll talk to you again. I hope everybody who's listening understands that we are trying to be as nonpartisan as we can be as bipartisan as we can be, try to work together, whatever the results of the election tomorrow are. We work together, teachers unions, parents, parent-teachers associations. I was a PTA treasurer when I taught fourth grade in Newark, so I want everyone to work together for the children. It's for the children ultimately that we all are here, and that's why I teach college now, political science at Montclair State. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, that is the last caller in the queue.
Okay, Mr. Stafford, with that, I'll close public comment. Certainly, we do have an item for executive session tonight. So I will move with doing so. We have a resolution authorizing executive session without the public being permitted to attend in accordance with the NJSA 10:4-12B, which is a personnel matter. So I move. We go into executive session.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great.
Mayor, since some of us are dropping off, I just want to say, someone please text us when we need to come back on again, because we won't be
I'll
listening.
let the manager know when anyone can come back on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. so much. We're now out of executive session. And any actions we should choose to take. We're now out of executive session. And
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion if I could, please. I would like to move that the township appoint Gina DeVita Esquire to fulfill the role of assistant township attorney to commence immediately in term ending December of 2022 in salary in accordance with the Montclair Township salary schedule for this position to be further reviewed by Mr. Stafford in his office to effectuate same, and I so move.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Isn't this
Opposed?
a roll call vote, Mr. Krasik, since it's salary involved here? I think it's a roll call vote, Mr. Mayor, but I'll defer to it.
Mr. Krasik, is it?
Yeah, I think we should do a roll call vote just to make it clear. And could I just, well, go ahead, make the vote and then add a question. Yeah,
What
you
did
should
you say,
do a roll call vote.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings,
No. No.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Counselor Russo,
Abstain.
Counselor Schlager,
No.
Counselor Yacobelis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Okay. Comments. Let's go to Mr. Stafford. Anything?
Thank you, Mayor. Given the hour, I have nothing further tonight. Unless you object, I will mute myself and make 2 urgent phone calls.
Sounds good. No objection.
Thank you.
Mr. Deputy Manager.
No reports, Mayor.
Madam Clerk?
I have no report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Town Attorney.
I was just going to ask if the candidate who was just appointed, you said effective immediately, are they prepared actually to start tomorrow? Or should I discuss that?
You can discuss that with Mr. Stafford. He's making those calls, but that's the appointment that we just approved.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I assume that's your comment today.
Yeah, oh yes, thank you. I don't have anything else.
Okay, got it. Councilman Yacobelis.
Given the lateness of the hour, no report. Just ask everybody to please vote tomorrow. Thanks.
Yeah. Councilman Russo.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything more than I've already said tonight. Good night, everyone. Please vote to.
Let's go to Councilman Cummings.
All I have is next week, Lexi's Kitchen wants to have a opening. It's a new vegan and organic restaurant in the 4th Ward, right in the South End Business District. So hopefully I'll get some information, you guys, to come and cut the ribbon. Gina, Floyd, and I talked about it today. We're trying to get a time maybe next Wednesday. Once we confirm it, she'll send out to get you guys down there. That's about it. Yes, please vote tomorrow.
Councilwoman Price Abrams.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'll just, amplify the importance of getting out. If you haven't already voted, many people have. And I really like to highlight question 2, which is a state question affecting nonprofits. And I know I spoke to it last time, but just briefly, it simply provides that all nonprofits in the state may use the proceeds from games of chance, such as raffles or lotteries, for any purposes, including operating purposes. And right now, they're constrained in a way that exceptions have been made for categories of veterans groups and seniors groups, and it would just level the playing field that all nonprofits can find a way to raise revenues to do their mission. So I really urge folks to give that one a yes as you go through your ballot. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Schlager.
Nothing tonight.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor Hurlock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. 2 things, well, 3 things really. Again, I reiterate what everyone else has been saying tonight. Get out and vote. It's important. A lot of important questions. not just for the state, but also for Montclair. And I just want to also thank CGI at the high school. They did a great job Thursday night last week putting together the panel for the school board question. Great job as always by the administration, the teachers, and the students. Well done. And then also, I know many of us were at the unveiling of the Aquilonia Way sign the other day, also on Thursday. Great, really a great tribute to the men and women in Montclair and in New Jersey, quite frankly, that have come from Italy. And it was a great way to honor their heritage. And it was really something to see the expression on many people's faces when we did the unveiling. Thank you all for your support on doing that Aquilonia Way. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and certainly we should note that they did also have some great food there, which is important to highlight. I know everyone enjoyed that. So, but in all seriousness, certainly wonderful always to partner with one of our great sister cities, and appreciate everyone's involvement there. Certainly, I will also echo what all my colleagues said. It's a great system that we work in here, so please get out, exercise your right to vote, and please do so if you haven't already. A lot of early voting occurred, I'm sure. But chance to vote, in-person voting is tomorrow. So please remember to go ahead and do that. Make a plan to make sure you vote. And with that, give me an hour. I'll also say thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a great night. Motion to adjourn.
Right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.